It is October 16, 2024. We're on the second floor of City Hall. It's 5 p.m. for our budget hearing. Agenda has been posted. Media has been notified. Clerk, please take the roll call.
David Holt, Stephen Jopek, Luke Kramer, here. Kerry Michalowski, Gerald Anderson, Thomas Barnett, Bob Luter, Leanne Felton, Chris Hannes.
Here. So we do have 1 out of 8, which is not quorum to conduct business, but since there's no business actually being voted on, we could continue. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to number 4, which would be public comment. I have a Tony. Oh, if you could just turn the mic on.
Red?
Yep, yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So my name is Tony Farrow. I'm the Executive Director of Oneida County Economic Development. I've taken that position in June and been working really hard to help with economic development in Rhinelander and in Oneida County in general. It's kind of a new chapter for our organization, and I hope that the city will consider the cut to our budget. We feel that we provide needed service for Rhinelander and Oneida County. And again, with a new chapter, I'm new, and our office administrator is new now. We've hired Bristol Hamburg, which has been a great addition to the team. She's been on board for a week and a half and already had quite a few people call and connect with us, and really enjoys her energy and positivity that she brings to the position. So her and I, along with a very supportive board, is very eager to continue to move economic development in Rhinelander and in the county. I think most of you know that there was a Navigator program that we helped administrate from 2022, and it ended in April of 2024. That funding was $100,000 to our organization, and that funding has stopped. So we've lost that $100,000 of funding. And to be cut again by the city and losing that $100,000 is a big hardship, and we'll have to look to see exactly what direction our organization goes with the cuts. The one thing that I want the city to understand that we work really hard with trying to help a lot of businesses in Rhinelander. With that bounce back grant, we got 37 organizations in Oneida County $10,000 back. So we brought $370,000 back to the county, but 20 of those were in the city of Rhinelander. $200,000 was brought back to Rhinelander from our organization working on that bounce back grant, which we were very successful with, and we want to continue to help that. Just recently, in the last couple months, we've had 5 new startup businesses in Rhinelander come to us to want to work with us, and we're looking at, one of them we're looking at a CWED loan, some of them we're looking at a revolving loan fund that we operate, we're looking at other grants, and we're a source to help the city move forward, and we've always been a source for that, and it's kind of frustrating to see our budget cut when we see value, and a lot of people in the city and in the county see what we do. Unfortunately, Rick from Dinky Diner couldn't be here tonight. He will state and wanted to state that his business wouldn't rebuild and wouldn't have happened without us. And, like I said, he can't be here tonight, but he would like to have me use his name. And I don't know if he sent a letter in or not, but I know he's a supporter of us. We've worked on 2 hotels here in Rhinelander, along with Blaine's, to bring them in. And that's something that we've done to help grow the city and the economy here. We were able to get $200,000 back on a grant fund for Hodag Park. So there's another $200,000. So you look at the $200,000 from Bounce Back, the $200,000 for the Hodag Park, that's $400,000, along with the hotel revenue. And that doesn't mention how many times we've worked with the manufacturers. And I know some of them haven't happened in the last 12 months, but they've happened here in the city. And I've been out to all of them, and they're very thankful for what we've done, and stated that we're a contributor on why they're still in Rhinelander. And their revenue goes back to help the city. And so I don't know what else I can do. Again, I've only been here for 4 months, and I think that anybody will tell you I've been out pounding the pavement, finding out ways that we can help Rhinelander and Oneida County. I know housing is an issue. I know, Patrick, we have a meeting set up Monday. I know that she contacted you and I both, but we're going to do there. I'm willing to partner with the city to do whatever I can to see the city move forward and the county. I'm willing to have monthly meetings. I'll do whatever it takes to move this city and Oneida County forward. And I just don't know what else I can say or do to prove to you that, you know, it's a new day. We're an open book. We're excited. We want to work with you. We want to work with all the residents in the city and the county. And I think our track record shows that. So thank you.
Thank you. I have Leah.
Hello, Leah Van Zyl. I'm the current president of Oneida County Economic Development. And I just wanted to come here in support of our organization. I think we all have seen that there's a proposed cut to the funding that the city provides to our organization. And I've been around this city, this community for 25 years. We have a long history of partnering together, city, county, Oneida County Economic Development. Without that partnership, I just don't see where the progress is going to come from. I want to reference a little bit here what Tony said about the Navigator program. Our organization alone reached over 800 small businesses in Oneida County. That includes not only the city, but also the county. And as you know, as the county seat, the people come here to do their shopping, to do they're recreating a lot of the times. So that money is coming directly back into the city. But also the employees that we've helped through these businesses in the past, and also going forward with our loan programs that we're offering to startup businesses. Just down the street, Positively Styling, she received one of our small business loans, but then also specifically that Navigator loan, I want to talk, or the Bounce Back Grant and the Navigator program, I want to talk specifically about that. Over 91 of the people or small businesses that we contacted came directly from the city of Rhinelander. They also provided information on a request form to receive some kind of consultation or support through small business. So that is something that I think it needs to be shared. And then also, as Tony mentioned, 20 businesses that received the Bounce Back Grant were from the city of Rhinelander at $10,000. That's $200,000 directly back here. And one of those establishments is a really fun, enjoyable establishment that was recently opened up a few years ago just down the street. I go there myself on some evenings to listen to music. So, you know, it's important that you guys appreciate the effort that we have done. And I think it goes without saying that this is an annuity. Every year, this money keeps coming back into the city of Rhinelander. And if you short-sight it to say, well, what have you done for me lately in the last 12 months? We've done a lot for you guys lately, for the city of Rhinelander and for Oneida County. So it's really imperative that the board, I wish more people were here today, or the city council, really take a look at what organizations bring back revenue, sustain jobs, create new opportunities, more than Oneida County Economic Development. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Pete.
My name is Pete Otis. I was a CPA in Rhinelander for 17 years, and I'm retired now. But and back in I think it was about 1986. Well, first of all, when I first moved here, the paper company, I believe, had about 1,600 employees, and the twist drill company had 900. So there were two major employers here. Daniels at the time, or whatever it was called before Print Pack, was one of the small companies. About 1986 or 87, Twist Drill was gone, and the paper mill cut back considerably. There was a forum out at Nicolay College, and basically it was to kind of brainstorm about how to get more business back into this area. The result was the formation of this Economic Development Corporation. We talked, the city was involved, so was the county at the time, and basically that's how the funding started. And I don't believe there was an increase in the funding ever. The city's portion stayed the same the entire time. Lakeshore was the first one. They contacted us, and we one of the things they wanted was a rail spur. At the time, rail was kind of leaving the area too. But they wanted confidentiality. They didn't want to go right to the city or any other city employees or anything. They needed confidentiality at the time to just get everything going. I feel we've done a pretty good job over the years, as Tony and Leah have said, that we were involved in bringing a lot of businesses back to this area, and it's a different landscape than it was when I moved here in the mid-'70s. So I guess I was a little surprised when I saw the reduced funding. I understand budgetary constraints, but I guess to look at the planning for the future and the economic growth, I think it's a little short-sighted not to even kind of discuss it with us and say, geez, we're having some issues. And it was kind of a shock when I looked out there and I saw that it was a 50% cut. We've been a lean operation the entire time we've been in existence. We've never had more than one full-time director and a part-time assistant, and it's still in that situation. So anyway, I guess I talked to Mayor Chris and Patrick today, and I'm very passionate about this organization, maybe a little too passionate at times, but I thought I would at least let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else for public comment? Okay. Moving on to 5, which is introduction of new business to discuss the 2025 proposed budget revenue. General fund summary, special revenue fund summary, enterprise fund summary, trust fund summary, TIF fund summary, capital project fund summary, tax calculation, and budget publication for newspaper. I'll turn it over to our city administrator.
And I'm going to turn it right over to, right over to the finance director, Wendy Bixby.
So the first thing in your packet is the revenue budget. This is the last budget that we prepare because we get numbers later in the process from the state. One of the things I can point out is we are keeping our tax levy the same at the $4.8 million. I think it was like 2022 when we had raised it to that point, just up 100,000 from 2021. And then going down the list, we have a new grant for a cybersecurity that's new this year, and then new expenditures, but it's covering all of the expenditures for this cybersecurity project. The shared revenue did increase a little bit with the additional sales tax. I think it was I don't remember the formula, but it was about $25,000 increase on that. The expenditure restraint is the same exact amount as last year. The general transportation aids increased, looks like about 90,000. The cable franchise fees has been trending downward, so the idea when you're pulling together a budget with the revenues, you want to budget a little bit more conservatively so that you have a better outcome at the end of the year. So we brought that down to 92,000 instead of 100,000. And then at the bottom of the first page, you can see the deletion of the revenues from the townships for the building permits. And then on the next page, Everything was very consistent. I had a lot of help from the department heads to come up with the specific revenues. And the only other significant change was in the investment interest, and we brought that up just based on where it's been trending in the last 2 years. Does anybody have any questions on the revenue budget?
So the only one I would look for clarification is on the revenue side regarding the sidewalk, cemetery sidewalk of $1,167. I'm assuming that's just based on a partnership development to add sidewalks in that part of town. Is that something that is there going to be a life expectancy on that revenue, or is that kind of now going forward?
It's a specific agreement, and I believe it ends in 2026.
I don't know, Luke, if you have anything.
No, I think I'm good on
Okay. Well, assuming everyone's just going to yield to Wendy, so.
Okay,
let's keep it
then
moving.
the next page is the general fund summary, and this basically pulls all the budgets together. And we have the revenues up at the top, and they are organized into the categories that they are reported with the Form C with the state. And then down below are all the expenditures of the grand total lines by category of how they're reported. And then at the very bottom, under the 2025 budget request, we have a balanced budget with the surplus of 23. The interesting thing is we have two major constraints on our budget. One is we have a levy limit, so we are limited by how much we can tax on the general public, and our levy we've kept at the 4.8 million. And that adjusts with the net new construction. So we're kind of restricted on being able to collect more revenue from the taxpayers. The other restraint is the expenditure restraint program. This year, for the city of Rhinelander, the allowable increase was 5.1% for the 25 general fund budgeted expenditures over the 24 general fund budgeted expenditures. And in the bottom right corner, we are compliant. And if we had had more revenue, we would have been able to increase our expenditures, but we simply did not have the revenue to have more expenditures within the budget. And then on the following pages is the same exact thing. It's just a summary of all the special revenue funds for the prior three actuals, the year-to-date, the end of the year projected 24 budget and the 25 budget of the revenues total and expenditures. And then underneath that is where their fund balance is and how it changes. And this is just pulling together everything that we've already discussed in detail in the prior presentations.
Would you be able to go over what on the taxes from municipal utility, it's got calculated on the PSC report?
Yes. So it's a complicated formula, so I don't have it memorized, but it's basically the utility does not pay property taxes, but there's something called the pilot payment in lieu of taxes, and it's based on what their assets are, what the value of their assets are, and what our tax rate is. And there's a complicated formula that we go through. So I've tried to calculate it every year, and then I get just a slight adjustment from the auditor. So I don't have it down pat just yet, but the pattern has been then to just budget what the prior year amount was And for 23, the auditors adjusted it to the 287,220. So that is what I'm using for 2025.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And if there isn't anything specific on any of the summaries, which we talked about in detail in prior meetings, then we can go to the tax rate calculation worksheet. And this sheet gives you some historical data about the equalized values for the residential, commercial, manufacturing, and personal property for the past 10 years, including the 24 assessment. And then it gives you what the TID increment value is of all our TIF district values added up. And then we have the property tax levy, which is made up of the general levy, the airport levy, library levy, and the debt service levy. And you can see that that is going down by $10,000, which in my mind, it's just we're being consistent. We're staying relatively flat. And then the only figure that I do not have, I highlighted in the total city assessed value. I do have the city's assessed value for the residential properties, but the manufacturing assessment comes from the state, and they don't usually get those to us until right before Thanksgiving, or like that'd be like the third week in November. So what I did on that figure is I just added in what last year's manufacturing assessment was to this year's city residential assessment. I've tried in the past to work with our assessor to estimate it, and it's just not an easy estimation because they don't do anything with the manufacturing assessment either. So overall, it looks like with that one estimation, the city tax rate is going to go up about $15 for the cost of a $100,000 home, or 1.33% for the city's portion. I have not received the levies from the school district, the college, or the county. Those will come later. And the only other estimate in here is what the tax increment will be in the TIF districts. And I usually finalize those up right before I bring the final budget to council in November.
So just as a point of clarification, so when you go to the total equalized value less the TIDs, so we had a net gain of $13,520,000, or 2.21% of the value of the city. Now that's based on, development, expansion, new buildings, as well as if we close any TIDs out, the value in that current TID being closed, we get dumped back into this. Is that correct, or?
So if it would not be in a TID, it's going to be up above in the regular equalized value part.
But I mean, if we had a TID that we closed,
Right.
that value would then dump into this total equalized value.
So this is the equalized value for 24. So this is all our open TIDs as of 1/1/24. Anything that closed, because we closed a TID in 22, and the final year we collected the increment from that was in 23. That one goes back in the top section.
Okay.
The interesting thing about 24 is this is the first year that the personal property tax is not assessed. So that's why there's the decline there. And the equalized values are also relative to the market values. So it's not just construction that brings it up.
How does annexation factor into this? Because I suppose we're gaining more of a base when we annex in.
Yes, that would be up in the top section of it.
When you say top section, you mean
So,
residential, commercial, manufacturing?
Yes. Not in the TID unless it was part of a TID.
Did you say you didn't have the school's tax levy in there?
No.
School's tax levy is not in there, okay.
Right, this is just the city's tax levy.
Oh, okay.
It has nothing to do with the other ones.
Sure.
I don't know if you had anything else, Luke, on that section? No?
And then the last 2 pages is just what we are going to be sending to the paper next week I think we're sending it on the 22nd to publish for the 15-day notice of the public hearing of the budget on November 11th. And it's basically all the grand totals from the summary sheets. And I will probably be able to update the tax increments to everything except for the county before we send it with their levies. Does anybody have any questions? Well, that is all that I have.
Okay, that would be it for new business. Moving on to number 6. The next regular common council meeting would be Monday the 28th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. It is 5:27, meeting adjourned.